Okay, I'm glad we finally got connected. Cody, thank you very much for joining us. This is Tech I Want, and we're doing a very special live stream here on Instagram. My name is Rafi, and for everyone watching and listening out there, we have today with us Cody, and hopefully I'll say your last name right. It's Soodeen.
Perfect.
All right, Cody Soodeen. He is the creator of Cara Pure and the CEO of Cara Water. And Cara Pure is a pretty revolutionary piece of technology. And if you don't mind, can you please tell us a little bit about the new product and maybe also a little bit of inspiration as to how you got started with this thing?
Sure, absolutely. I actually have it right behind me, and I'll walk you around it a little bit. So the product itself is an air-to-water dispenser. That's what we call it. So it takes humidity from the air and it makes drinking water from it. And we spent a lot of time. I'm an architect by training, so design is really important to me. So I spent a lot of time making sure this design was nice, something that was fit in your home, something that I would put into a building if I was designing it.
Right, I can imagine. I do like the design that you have very much. It's very sleek, very modern. And I would like to imagine what the testing phase was for drinking water. I mean, I could imagine how many liters of water you and the team went through as you were practicing the setup.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I live in San Francisco. I got a couple of roommates here, and I had it out there as my guinea pigs when I first got this other unit here. So I wanted to get some real life testing and see how people liked it. And it was awesome to see the transition. We have a Brita, we have good tap water in San Francisco, and they just transitioned to only drinking Cara Pure. And it was amazing to see that happen just so naturally, without me asking them to or anything. I just wanted to see what would happen naturally, and that was really cool.
Awesome. So what was the inspiration behind this, the Cara Pure? As I understand, it is a device that is taking the natural water that's in the air, in the atmosphere, it's filtering it and processing it and making it into just potable, good drinking water.
Correct. So the inspiration behind it, I'm not sure if you've seen the crowdfunding video that we have. I grew up in a small town. Yeah, so I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, and we live downhill. So everything runs downhill, and our well was badly contaminated with bacteria, and we didn't know it for a very long time until my parents went to a doctor, and they're like, you have elevated bacteria levels, and a lot of your underlying health issues are probably related to that. So, we found that out, and we just stopped drinking the tap water, even though we shocked the well, like the chlorine shock, and we just lost trust in it. And come to find out, almost every year, the bacteria comes back. It's like mold, it just doesn't go away, right? So it just keeps coming back. So they've fully stopped drinking the tap water or even using it for most anything. And they drank bottled water for such a long time. So fast forward a little bit, when I went to university to study architecture, we wrote a research paper, and the professor had us watch these innovative TED Talks on emerging technologies or new sustainable technologies. And I watched this one video of a darkling beetle that lived in the driest desert in the world, and it survived by capturing moisture from the air on the back of its shell, tipping itself into a handstand and drinking the water off its own back.
Oh,
and I saw that, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. We could drink water from the air and make it locally and not have to have miles of pipes that run to people's homes or infrastructure needed, and we could decentralize this. I was like, we should do something about this.
Right, awesome. Dude, so I mean, it kind of sounds like a little bit of magic, but I know that there's a lot of engineering and science that goes behind it. Do you happen to have one there next to you that maybe you can show us? Is there any chance that we can see how the product works? Because right now it's kind of hard to imagine just based on the talks.
Totally. So I'll just give you a look at it if I can get the full thing in frame. It's kind of difficult where I'm at. Let me see. I'll stand up. So yeah, let's move the camera around.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know if you're seeing the full thing with me in it.
Yeah, I see. It's perfect.
Yeah. So the form factor, again, very clean. It's steel, but it just feels like it looks soft because of the curves. Really nice and easy curves on it.
Yeah.
And we made it this height intentionally. People are like, oh, it's kind of big. Why is that? I was like, because I want to stand up and be able to put my hand in there without having to bend over. Right? Mm-hmm. It's super cool. We wanted to make sure that it was a very sleek design, only a single button on the front that pours water. This top button is going to be repurposed for the hot water, and it's going to be like a child safety feature. I'll walk you through and show you how it... Let me turn it on. So this is what it looks like when it's on. Just lights up nicely. Actually, our business partner, one moment. It runs through like a UV cycle every now and again. And it's kind of a
UV cycle.
So too close.
That's the clean everything to sanitize everything.
Yeah, so we make it runs every 4 hours. I left this here for 2 weeks when I was in back east for the holidays, and it was perfectly great water by the time I came back 2 weeks later, because it runs that cycle every 4 hours forever, and then it automatically goes into standby mode when the tank is full, which that's the tank down there. This is where the magic happens. So inside this component, there's something called a desiccant, and a desiccant's like, do you know the packets that you get in your shoebox? They keep your box dry.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it takes all the moisture out of the air, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't use energy to do so, right? It's natural. So that's the cool part about this type of technology. It's a naturally occurring phenomenon, just like the beetle. So as air passes over it, it just naturally, like a magnet, pulls some water out of the air. And we got to use heat to kind of extract it and keep that desiccant dry, regenerating it so that it keeps pulling water out of the air. And the cool part about that is that because we use this heat, it actually kills viruses and bacteria in the air. And we tested it against the flu virus and had a 99.9% removal rate. And it was just really cool to learn that in this day and age that we live in.
Wow. So this brings up one of the questions that I see as one of the common questions people have, is that as the Cara Pure is bringing in all this moisture from the air, does it also bring in any kind of pollutants, any kind of dust or small particles? And if it does, what happens with those?
Good question. So on the back, so this is the back of the unit here where my hand is, and this is where the air comes in. And as you can see, we have a filter on the air intake to remove any large particles. So you'll never really find any real buildup inside of here. So any large particles will just get caught in this filter, in this mesh. And what's super cool about this is you don't need to replace it. You can just take a vacuum to it and clean it. So you never need to like take it out like with screws and whatever like you would with other products. We wanted to make sure the user experience was super easy and effective for people to use at home. Right. So this air filter prevents anything from really coming into the unit.
But what about, are there any particles that are smaller than that filter that would get through?
Oh yeah, for sure. So one thing so it's cool. This is a technology, like it's literally just porous. So air passes through it. Any major contaminants would just exhaust right back out. It's not going to really get trapped inside of here. It's not like it has to go into a container or like go through a process of water. Like it's just air in and out. It's an air moving machine essentially, right? So anything that's like contaminants will just pass right through. And the cool part about that, to take it one step further, is if anything ever were to get stuck in here, because we use heat to extract that water, that's like boiling water. So it kills anything also in the water. So you'll never, it's like distilled water that we technically produce in the beginning of it. Then we add minerals back to it.
Awesome. That brings me to another one of these, the questions that's very common, is that what is the cleaning process like? What kind of processing goes on from capturing that water from the air until you finally bring it into your cup?
So the process that goes through here is really cool. Like I mentioned, it's literally just a very naturally occurring phenomenon that captures the water and the humidity from the air. And once you capture the water from the air and then we extract it from the desiccant, we then have like free range on what we add back to it to make it healthy again. So we can add, I spent a long time curating this profile for the water, and we add really specific minerals, one to increase the alkalinity, so that it has a 9.2 pH, and then also to increase the smoothness profile by adding silica back into it. Silica you'll find in beer. That's why beer is kind of smooth. And it also
really, there's silicone in the air?
In beer, like beer, yeah.
Okay, yeah, nice.
Silica in beer, right? And you also find it in like Icelandic water. So we spent a lot of time being like, okay, what has the best profile of water? And we looked at Fiji water, we looked at Icelandic water, we looked at Essentia, we looked at really top brands to curate this really luxury profile of drinking water that's super healthy for you. It has a lot of benefits.
That is really interesting, and it got me thinking, is there any possibility that people can add different flavors or different minerals into their water for a different flavor?
That's the plan long term. Yeah, we want to be able to offer people different minerals, different we have a lot of plans for different things that you can add into it. I mean, it's water, so you can do a lot with it.
Very nice. And so this entire process, I'm assuming it's going to take a little bit of energy. And one of the questions that we have seen come up a lot is that how much energy? And it sounds like some people are thinking about having this in like maybe an off-grid system. or an unconventional like grid system where they have batteries and solar panels, would this fit into all of that ecosystem?
Yeah, totally. So it is a little bit has some energy uses to it. So it's about 1.49 kilowatts per liter, which is about, depending on where you live, like between 5 and 30 cents per liter of water. And again, this is like extremely ultra premium water. So if you were to compare a liter of water produced from Cara Pure to like one of the bottled water brands, it could be around 20 times cheaper than that. And you're getting it right in your home. There's no delivery service or you having to go to the store to get it. And it's very consistent and reliable.
All right. Sounds good. Let me, I'm looking through some of the other questions that people have been asking. Let's see. Oh, okay. So one of the things that I noticed on the campaign page is that it's taking this moisture from the air and it's bringing down the humidity level, right? Down to, I think it was written maybe 25%.
No, so it doesn't bring it down to 25%. It will, like say it's the winter or like it just is a low humidity day, like it's just a random dry day. It will go into standby mode because you don't want to go lower than 25% because that's like an unhealthy level of humidity. Like if you're in a space of like 60 to 70% humidity, it'll drop it to like 65 or 55. It's not a significant drop in humidity in the space by running the machine.
So it's noticeable, but it's not anything that is going to be harmful to anyone's health or change the air quality.
No, not at all. I mean, it's in my room and I sleep with it when it's on and I don't really notice it at all.
That was another question I had personally. I was wondering if there's any kind of noise or any heat that's generated while the machine is on.
That's a good question. So in earlier generations, one of the big hurdles we had to overcome was it does generate heat. So we were like, how do we prevent this from warming up a space? So we spent a lot of time engineering increasing the airflow so that air will just cool it as it comes out because it hits the air twice essentially. So we used to have an issue with the heat and now I could stand right next to it and it's like a slightly warm air. So we really overcame that hurdle with a lot of R&D and engineering to prevent heat from building up and also just being cooled before it comes out.
Nice. And how long has this whole entire project been in the works? How long has development been?
That's a good question, and sometimes I look at myself and I age myself by answering it. I started this, as I said, in university, so I was 19. I just turned 30 Friday, so it's been a long time coming.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. So it's been a long way coming. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so is this the first? So this is not the first iteration. It sounds like you've gone through a couple different steps and improved along the way.
Yeah, totally. We've been through, some of the history of the product. We've been through handmade prototypes, proof of concept prototypes, just seeing if I could even pull water out of the air prototypes. I look like back when I was still working and had roommates and stuff, I look like a mad scientist, some of the stuff that I'd be doing in those homes. It was absolutely ridiculous. Then we went to our first professional prototype in around 2017 with an actual contract manufacturer. That was insanely different than what this was today, the way it looked. Then we were like, well, this isn't going to work. It's too heavy. It's too bulky, And then we redesigned it. And I really spent a lot of effort and time putting some design thinking into it. Then we went to a second iteration that didn't have the opening that it has now. And then the third iteration, which was this one, that came through with the really, really clean, beautiful finish that's really smooth. And we love this version. So we're super happy with how it came out in the end.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I do like the look of it. It's very sleek and modern. And I could see it almost being like a something added to someone's kitchen space to kind of add more flavor to it, I mean, like design.
Totally, yeah. We love the idea of it. A lot of people that say they're buying it, it's like a piece of art for them. They're really happy to show it off to your guests, and that's something I mentioned. I wanted that to be something that you can experience with yourself, your family, your friends.
Very cool. So I also wanted to know, does the Cara Pure work differently in different environments? So is it going to work the same in say the tropics as it would in say maybe the deserts of Arizona?
So that's a good question. So it's a humidity based technology, right? So it'll work better with higher humidity and higher temperature. That's just makes sense for when you're making water from the air. So if you're saying the tropics, obviously that's like the ideal environment. Constantly humid, a lot of hot weather and temperature. In Arizona, in the arid, dry areas, there'll be a decrease in performance, and it depends on the level of humidity in the space, or the absolute humidity in the air. So it can be, we tested it as low as like 28%, 30%. Still produced like about 3 to 4 liters. Around 40 to 50 to 60%, you get like 40 to 50, you'll get like 5 to 7 liters, and then you get the optimal 10 liters around 60 to 80%.
And so we're just talking about how efficient it is, right? Because it's still going to create water. It's still producing the same quality of water. It just takes a longer amount of time to pull that moisture from the air.
Yeah, and one of the things we realized, especially using it here, is we were all working people. So by the time we got home, it was have spent, time generating water and filling up the tank. And sometimes you just don't even use it for the day because you're just not thinking about it, right? Or maybe you just drink water once because you're in a rush or you're busy. Those little the lifestyle things really play a big part in like the usage. And if you don't use it too much, it'll always be full. If you use it a lot, depending on where you are, it could still always be full. But we never ran out here. I have 6 people in the house, so and we never ran out.
5 or 6 people that you're sharing the device, the Cara Pure with, and it never ran out of water. The 10 liters.
Best things that I noticed, and I was happily surprised to see that many people in one home using it. I had one roommate who would like fill up his water bottles, had a cup with him, and like go all over the place with it, and like just constantly be using it. Never ran out, never ever once.
So in San Francisco, how long does it take to make 1 liter of water?
So if we're talking about over 24 hours, you make 10 liters, so it takes about 2 hours to make 1 liter, right?
Okay.
We've been finding it to oddly be faster than that. That's what the numbers would say based on 24 hours, 10 liters, dividing that, right? But it depends on the humidity in the space. Again, if it's 60 to 80% to make 10, if it's 90% or 100% humidity for the day, it's going to be even faster. And the temperature also plays a role as making more water depending on how much water is in the air. So at 60%, it was making it, 60 to 80, it was making it very, very fast. I don't look in the tank to check how much was there, but the fact that we never ran out, it's good. That's what you're looking for. You don't want to. There shouldn't be a lapse in usage, and that's what we were really happy to see.
Yeah, totally. I get it. It's good design that no one even has to think about how much water is in there or if it's going to run out. As long as you have water, you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, user experience super important.
Is the Cara Pure? Is it always on, or does it go into like a quiet mode or a passive mode? And if it's always on, what happens when it gets full? Does it just stop pulling the moisture from the air, or does it put that somewhere else? Is there backup reservoir? What is that like?
A lot of people have asked about a backup reservoir, and that's a cool idea, cool concept, maybe in the version 2 or something. But we love the idea of just getting this unit, plugging in, and having nothing to do afterwards. That's it. Right. It's the best part. So having to hook up a tank or something that's external reservoir, that's a lot more work than we want people to do with the first generation. And most people don't want to deal with that anyways. So when it reaches the 10 liters in the tank, because it makes 10 liters, holds 10 liters, there's sensors that will automatically enter the unit into standby mode. So all the functions still work, like the LCD, the pouring function, the sanitation cycle, all of those things will still work, but it will go into a standby mode where it's no longer generating water until it reaches a certain level. It kicks back on and then starts making it again.
Nice. And let me just ask. So I think I have a pretty good idea of it, and I'm hoping that everyone who's following along has a pretty good idea of how the Cara Pure works now. I'm just curious, where do you see the future of the Cara Pure and maybe just drinking water in general? I feel like this is kind of fitting into a niche where there is a potential that in the future people will have limited access to potable drinking water, or it's going to become more and more expensive. Is this kind of a solution for that potential future?
I definitely. We look at like water as it's becoming a commodity, like a rare commodity in certain places, right? And it's not just that water is going to be super inaccessible. I think a big part of it is that we have aging infrastructure that's going to cost billions and years to update as we grow as a population, and just time takes its toll on the pipes in the underground or wells that are running low or something like that. And again, like I lived in a place where bacteria was in my well. I wasn't even connected to city water, and Florida is huge for that, and so we do see this as a potential appliance that could be in everyone's home at some point, or some version of it, right? It's super local, it's decentralized, you don't need infrastructure for it, and it's just an amazing alternative to indoor drinking water.
Is this someone that so for the distribution phase, once you have the Indiegogo page set up right now, and I think it goes until, what is it, the 6th? I think you have 10 more days.
Let's see. I think we have a little more than 10. I think it's... I'm looking at it right now. We have 12 days left.
12,
so in about...
Yeah, 12 days left for the Indiegogo campaign. How is distribution and everything like nowadays? I know that some other campaigns have had trouble in the past. Are you guys feeling any effects of this, or what do you think delivery is going to be like?
I mean, everybody's feeling it, right? You know, you try your best to meet your goals and set a reasonable timeline that should be effective. And we're hoping to meet that goal. Our manufacturers, our engineers are already in rock and roll. They're already starting to purchase parts and understand, you know, the campaign's not over, but we should start ordering in bulk as we need to start building. And if we have to stagger it because we ordered ahead and maybe we get more sales than we thought, great. But like, we're going to try our best to meet that deadline for shipping, and I think we're on track for it. We're doing a pretty good job. I'm pretty excited. Now, when it comes to like actually shipping it across seas, the logistics of ports, I can't control that. You know, manufacturing, we can control that. But if some port is backed up for weeks, then that's a different story. But hopefully, by the time we're getting to shipping, a lot of this stuff should be cleared up, hopefully in the summer.
And so when this arrives at someone's doorstep, is it all just ready and just plug and play, or is there some kind of assembly that's required?
No, the only thing that you have to do is prime your filters. So like any filter that is dry, it can have some like loose particles, particularly the carbon filter. We'll just have some like loose particles. You just gotta like flush it out. So we have two methods of doing it. On the tank, there's a screw off cap that you can just take a gallon of tap water, put it in the tank, and then just like pour it out, like through the pouring. And then if you want to do that, you're good to go immediately. If you're just like, well, I don't want to do anything, you can just let the water build up or generate for a day, pour it out, and then let it generate for the next day, and you're good to go. So either way works pretty simply, and it's, again, super easy and convenient to not have to worry where the water's coming from, and it just does it for you.
Nice.
So yeah, there's two means to, we'll have videos for those once we get closer to, ship date.
Awesome. So that kind of goes to my next question, is that the kind of follow-up. So you're going to have some videos on how to use the product. Is there also going to be any kind of warranties, guarantees, or is there any need for, maintenance if anyone has a problem or needs to replace a part? Do you guys have any plans for that?
Yeah, so we're offering a 1-year warranty, and then you could purchase an extended warranty at a discount on the campaign, which is super sweet. And a lot of people have been getting that just because they know it's just good to have the peace of mind that we'll take care of it if something goes wrong. We want to make sure we can take care of it. So that's why we offer the extended warranty. So when it comes to anything that can really go wrong in a product like this, it's very far and few. It's the water component, generator component, is rated for like 10 to 15 years. So that's really cool to know that as we got it tested. And the filters, you'll have to change those annually. But I remember when I was designing this, I was like, I wouldn't even feel comfortable changing my refrigerator filter. You feel like you're gonna break it, right? So the way we designed our filters to be in place is it's just like a little clip that you pop off, and then you pop off the bottom and top, and then you just push the new ones in, and it's done, it's replaced. Super simple, kids could do it, is what I say. Like, it's the easiest replacement that you ever do for filter. You don't even need tools. You just literally pop it off your fingers. So we wanted to make sure that kind of like aftermarket stuff is really easy to maintain. Again, you can vacuum the air filter. All of those things are super easy to take care of. Anything that may be faulty or something, if that ever does happen, which we highly don't anticipate because we test these so rigorously. That if there is, we will have the warranty should cover most of those things, manufacturer defects or anything like that, which you don't hope to expect for, but things like that happen. That's life. What happens in shipping? Who knows? But yeah, anything covered in the manufacturing warranty, we'll take care of. If we need to replace it, we'll replace it.
Awesome. And I just had someone ask a question about, is there a water heater in there as well? So you get cold water, or can you change the temperature of the water, I guess? Is it room temperature, cold, hot? What can you do?
The one that I have is room temperature, but when we did the stretch goal to hit 200K, we blew out of the water, thankfully, and we're going to have cold water and hot water in the unit now. So as I mentioned, that top button up there, it was just for like switching through what the LCD says. We're going to repurpose that for the hot water button.
Awesome. Yeah. Fantastic, man. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I kind of ran through all my questions, and you've answered them very nicely. is there any last words that you'd like to say for anyone who may be wanting to know more about the Cara Pure, or maybe is on the fence about whether they need one or not?
Yeah, great point. I mean, I just want to, say we do only have a few days left, so this is by far the lowest price that we could even want to offer it at to anybody. So we're super happy to get people in before the campaign's over, and we want to make sure that you're super comfortable with that. So if you have any questions for me, we're super transparent. We want to make sure people are comfortable and they are getting their questions answered. So anything you have to ask, feel free to hit the ask a question button on the campaign, put something on the discussion board, reach out to us on social media, and we'll be super happy to get that answer to you and make sure that, if you do go to back, that you know what you're getting and you can be comfortable with that purchase decision. If you're on the fence of if you need it or not, that's a great question. It's up to you. I mean, I have my backstory. Everyone has their own different reason for wanting to get reliable, clean drinking water. If it's not just for clean, reliable drinking water, there's so many health benefits to it. It's so cool to have such really high mineral content and a good pH level. There's tons of good research around the minerals that we have on the website, and they're listed there, and you can check them out. I mean, silica is great for hair and skin. It's a beauty mineral. There's other things there that are good for high blood pressure. There's good stuff. pH is really good for heart patients and diabetics. So an alkaline diet, think of an alkaline diet. It's cool that you can have that in your drinking water. So, if you're on the fence for it, if it's something you want as reliability, super, super recommend to get it for something. We've looked at Honolulu and we're talking to people over there with the whole fuel spill, and they're just never going to trust their water ever again. There's fuel in it. It's terrible. So we want to be able to give something super reliable, and people love the health aspect of it. So if you want, I will say the new year, new me thing, people are like, oh, I want to get healthy, just drink more water.
Not just any water, but water that's full of good minerals, that's taken from the air.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Cody, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I wish you luck on the campaign and the Cara Pure. I know when I heard about it, it was something that I've heard about this technology in the past, and I thought it was just something that came and went. I read an article about someone that set up a water system in the desert of South America, I think it was, and it was this big fan, and they were pulling water. And then I thought, wow, this is the future. We're finally here. And then it went away. That was a decade ago, and so it's cool to see that it's now available and then people can get their hands on it.
Yeah, I think we're at the right time. And again, I really love the aesthetic of it. I think that's super important when you're putting something in someone's home. People love science. It's great, but you don't buy science. You don't want science in your home. You want function. You want something nice that you use, that's practical, and that's what we really focused on. We want to make sure that we're giving something to people that they really want.
Well, cool. Thank you very much, man. And hopefully we can follow up with you maybe in a few months after the product has launched and see how it goes.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. It was a great time.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.